whether it's LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith and the NBA Twitter audience, or Kendrick Lamar versus Drake, DJ Head, Elliott Wilson, DJ Academics, and the rap audience, or Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, Elon Musk, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, and us as voters, it's clear America has a commentary problem, okay? What do I mean by that? Now, I know what you're thinking. How are you going to tell us America has a commentary problem while you're doing commentary? Well, I'm probably one of the best guys to tell you about this issue. And when I say America has a commentary problem, I'm really specifically talking about how America cares more about the narratives than the actual facts of what's going on and how to either improve or critique properly the issues surrounding around these things. Now, obviously, I know one is probably more important than the other. When we talk about politics, that has to do with our day-to-day well-being, the economy, right? And when we talk about music, I know a lot of people are like, well, this is something I use in my day-to-day life, so it's on the next level. And then you talk about sports, it's something that can connect this, but not as dire. But I'm seeing the same trend around these three topics. And so that surefire means that we as Americans, period, have a commentary problem. We care more about narratives than the facts, and then getting down to the nitty gritty of things happening all around us, right? So when I see that, I have to ask myself, okay, how did this problem start and how can we solve it? Okay, well, I talk about all three topics, okay? And as someone that participates in all three topics, I get to see the audience and what the audience is doing and reacting to on these topics. I get to see what other creators and commentary and people that, maybe even do the art, right? Or are in politics or are in sports, how they are, either being treated and how they respond back. And then also I get to watch, myself and go, well, how is my content performing? How is my commentary performing in these different spaces, the different topics, etc. Okay. But one thing I do want to point out is before we get really, really into how to fix all this, we have to specify what the problems are. Okay. So we live in an algorithm world now. Okay. So across all platforms, there's the big bad Lord Algo, who just pretty much goes to each individual and say, okay, what do you like? What invokes emotion out of you? I will feed you a lot more of that, whether it's love or hate, like or dislike, right? Now, if Lord Algo is doing that to person A and then doing that to person B and person C and so on and so forth, right? We start getting a number of people in our population that are only being fed things to just kind of invoke emotion. And sometimes facts supersede that, right? Let's talk about, from the basketball angle and use the LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith, etc. In sports, we have statistics. We have numbers. We have a game that's being played that you can watch and dissect, etc. Right? It's so obvious in that avenue. But unfortunately, it seems as though in a world of clips, in a world of TV and ads, etc., the people are more interested in the drama, in the debates, rather than a breakdown of X's and O's, right? The TV audience, which I guess is not algorithm based per se, is still sort of dictated by ratings. So they see the ratings of a, First Take versus, ESPN inside the NBA analyst of this third quarter action, right? They know and they can see the difference in the TV audience. And then for the commentators who go online and post on their personal pages, or these same networks who have online pages, they can see what the algorithm prefers to push out and what people are interacting more with, right? So it's clear and evident from the sports angle, you can see that problem. You can see that there's something that could be discussed, but it's not being discussed more. What's more being discussed more is the drama. The Stephen A. Smith said this about Bronny and LeBron James. Please stop doing this to the son, which kind of has a snowball effect, and it's now an avalanche. And then now LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith, they have a problem. The greatest basketball player on the planet right now is beefing with the biggest commentator on the planet, and the audience is eating it up. Okay, so with that said, and recognizing what that looks like, you can apply this to every other angle, right? You can apply this to music. Music, we can listen to it, analyze it, break down the lyrics. Ooh, why did this person say this? What's the sample? Where did that come from? Who inspired this? When Kendrick Lamar said, ain't no other king in this rap game, they siblings, nothing but my children, rather than the drama portion of it, we could break down how Biggie said that on Kicking the Door. We get it, right? But, however, there's conflict in rap. We get it. There's going to be bad, relationships going sour. So it leaves a lot for the commentators to talk about, right? It leaves a lot for, a lot of room for maybe the rapper like Lil Baby to then have a problem with academics, and academics says something and then the audience is eating it up. So you can see that also with politics and so on and so forth. So we need to clearly identify we all play a role in this. I think one of the biggest problems before we can figure out a solution in this commentary problem that we have, narrative problem that we have, right, is that, a lot of us just try to pick one group and say they're the problem. In the basketball space, the sports period, we'll say, oh, it's LeBron James. He made the game all about himself. Oh, no, Stephen A is the problem. Stephen A, he wants to be bigger than the athletes. Oh, no, the audience, which I don't hear a lot. The audience, I say that a lot because I don't hear a lot of people saying it. The audience is a problem. What they consume, right, is what they will be fed more of, which is partly true. But the reality is we all have a role in this. So let's talk solutions, okay? As someone that participates in the commentary space, I'm not going to lie to you, okay? Narratives sell. Narratives always been a part of life. Before this algorithm, numbers, ratings dominated world that we lived in, narratives were still a part of life. Narratives spread through the radio. Narratives spread through the newspaper. But obviously, it's narratives on steroids now. Okay? So what has to happen is all parties involved have to be aware of this and find a balance. Okay? So let's use TV. All right. And I think TV probably does a better job of this than the internet. And we'll talk about Lord Algo again in a second. TV, there needs to be enough counters to First Take. So if you've got a First Take, if you've got a Undisputed, you need to have NFL Live breakdown shows of plays. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. That's pretty simple. If you're going to run a rap blog or you're going to run a rap channel or you're going to run a rap YouTube, okay, as the curator, you need to make sure that for every single Drake versus Kendrick and how to start and this, that, there's another video that goes for where did this sample come from? How was Drake inspired by Little Brother? How was ETC? You understand what I'm saying? That's kind of in that avenue. And even the political realm, right? You see a lot of changes now where you just have people sitting down on a CNN desk and they just arguing. I mean, they're arguing about things that are going on, but there's less shows about the facts. Show me the numbers. What are the economic numbers? What's going on? That kind of conversation. Okay. So there needs to be an understanding, number one, that we need to spread the love. Okay. Narrative talk can't dominate all of the content. So that's for the commentators themselves and the creators. Now, as far as the politicians, athletes, musicians, etc. involved, the people that are actually sort of bringing the content to the table, I want to tell them too that this is not going to sound great. You're not going to want to hear this, right? But super, super hone in on your job. Do not fall into the trap of this commentator said this, so I'm now going to turn into a commentator. Well, time to head on over to Pat McAfee show. Do a little less of that, right? I think that, we see this in some rappers, some athletes, some politicians where they only want to talk about their job, right? We see that, but I think we need to see a lot more of it. That doesn't mean being mysterious. In fact, the same guy I just brought up, LeBron James, I'll give him credit for wanting to do the show with Steve Nash that's similar to the one he had with JJ Redick before, the Mind of the Game podcast, I believe it's called. Double check that, please. And wanting to analyze and break down X's and O's from his perspective. I'm totally with that. We probably need more of that when you go and talk at your post-game press conference. Try to control the narrative a little more and say, hey, guys, let's talk about the game. I don't want to talk about this argument. Let's talk about the game. Politicians, I want you to talk about policy, right? Get at that table and then less insults, less punchlines. And specifically, a group of politicians, I think we all know who they are, who really just want punchlines. And then you get another side. It's like, well, we have to answer back with punchlines. We all have to be in it together. And lastly, the audience. I know it's hard. I know it's hard, but we have to be mindful of our interactions, okay? One of the features that I don't see a lot of people using is the not interested button all across socials. Sometimes it's not even the fact that you're getting commentary and what's the worst thing, and Lord Algo is just getting you deep diving in it. No, a large part of it is you're getting the content that you actually hate. You don't want to live in an echo chamber, but you're a Drake fan and you keep seeing 12 Kendrick Stan commentators sending out tweets and you're just responding, you're fighting, you're just loving hate. Love is just hate at the same time, right? They just exist on the same coin. So probably dial it back a little bit in order to gain control of your emotions. Hit not interested on some of those people that really trigger you. Okay, reinvest some of your time back in your favorite artists and talking about the content of your favorite artists. Rank albums. What did you hate? What you like? Oh man, I remember this feature. Let's get a little more into that, right? I know the narratives will still be there, but take advantage of that non-interested button, number one. Number two, speak a lot more loving about the actual work of your favorite artist projects. Then we can get into the narrative conversations here and there. I know you're human, and so am I, okay? And that should pretty much help us out with this whole thing, because the algorithm, which I think is the biggest sort of multiplier of this whole thing, it has a mind, but it doesn't. It has a mind in the sense that it just wants interaction. It wants to give everybody what it thinks everybody wants. We have to take back control as humans. If not, our commentary and narrative problem will continue. Okay? HQ out. Like, subscribe, comment. Tell me how you feel. Am I a little off about this, or do you see the same exact problems that